Saints Row the Third was a game with incredible potential ruined by sheer laziness. Over the years Saints Row has existed, Saints Row has gotten wackier and wackier. As the series increases in number, so too does the cringe. Money fight! For most people, it seems the cut-off point for how much insanity they could tolerate ended right here, with Saints Row 3 being acceptable and anything beyond as too far. Saints Row 3 was definitely somewhat serious, relatively speaking compared to what came later. Given this was a lot of people's first exposure to the series, it makes sense why they would look back on this game with fond memories. But the question is, should they? To begin, we need to talk about Saints Row's troubled existence. Volition, the developers of the series, created Saints Row 1, and upon release, they were met with one important criticism over and over again. Saints Row was just a GTA clone. Volition's solution was to create a wacky tone to differentiate it from the more serious GTA.
After you walk into a village, and you see 50 children, all sitting neatly in a row against the church wall, each with their throats cut and their hands chopped off, you realize that the creature that could do this doesn't have a source.
It was a smart idea, and most importantly, it was a strategy that worked. If we take a look at the sales between Saints Row 1, 2, 3 and 4, and if we consider the series only got wackier with every release, it makes sense why they doubled down on this approach. And so, with the success of Saints Row 2, which was more wackier than its predecessor, we could easily predict where the sequel was going to go. However, this wasn't this game's greatest sin. People could tolerate the wackiness if Saints Row 3, despite the insanity, was actually good. It wasn't. Saints Row 3, at a first glance, has a great story premise. The Saints, these characters we once knew as hardened criminals, have sold their souls for cash and a cushy celebrity lifestyle. However, a new threat, bigger than they've ever faced before, dragged them back into the lifestyle they left behind. Sounds like this could be pretty interesting. Well, it would be if the developers actually explored this storyline. To begin with, we need to go back to the beginning. The 3rd Street Saints originated from the city of Stillwater, and after becoming the lead criminal organisation in the city through conquest, they set their sights on becoming something more than a street gang. As many gangsters have done in our real world, the best path forward for the Saints was to acquire fame. With fame comes wealth, and with wealth comes security. They weren't the tough criminals nobody would dare mess with anymore. Those days were gone, but the money was very good. Who could blame them for selling out? We enter the story during one of the Saints' routine bank robberies. At this point, they're at the height of their fame and they can get away with anything. Well, as long as they send a big enough bribe to the Stillwater Police Department, that is. They feel invincible. The boss of the Saints is robbing the bank alongside Johnny Gat and Shaundy, who are veteran members of the Saints and feature heavily within the previous games. Gat is our best bro and an absolute tank, and Shaundy and Pierce loyally act as the face of the Saints for the majority of their merchandise. Alongside the gang, we're begrudgingly dragging along Josh Burke, a rather irritating actor. Just like the brilliant Jared Leto, it appears Josh Burke is a method actor. The Saints stroll into the bank as if they already own it and begin their routine.
Say sleaze.
Get in line, bitch!
Hey, don't be a dick.
But you call yourself gangbangers? You're a bunch of pussies! We should be all up in their shit like...
You are done.
Fuck!
Oh dear, it looks like this bank is a little different to the ones they're used to.
Oh, that's different.
A shootout begins and an unfamiliar gang begin pouring into the bank to attack the Saints. We quickly piece together this isn't the usual bank robbing routine as we dispatch this new threat. And soon enough, the police arrive to stop the Saints.
Don't touch it!
We blow the flooring covering the vault open and we call in a skylift helicopter to carry it out, with the boss standing atop it as he mows down the waves of incoming cops. However, after we shoot down the attack helicopter, it spins out and crashes into the skylift, forcing it and the vault to fall onto the ground below.
Well, shit.
This wasn't a very successful day to say the least. Here we get to customise our character. As standard for this series, the Saints Row 3 character customization is very extensive. Just like the previous game, you have 3 unique voices for each gender. And once again, I will be choosing the British voice.
Shove it up your bum!
The fuck is this? We paid up this month.
Someone paid more.
What happened?
We got arrested.
No, to us. Burke's right. We traded our dicks in for pussies. Seriously. Movie deals, commercials. Saint's name used to mean something more than body spray and some ass-tasting energy drink.
Our brand's worth a shitload of money.
Is that what it's all about?
Wait, hang on a second. Is this character depth? Gold star volition. Gat seems to be going through a bit of an identity crisis, and who could blame him? The Saints have changed from ruthless killers into a marketable group of celebrities. Gat always was one for the thrill of the fight, and with the bank heist, it's reminded him of better times.
It's always about the money, Mr. Gat, which is precisely why our employer wishes to speak with you.
If you'll indulge us.
A few moments later.
The bank the Saints had robbed was owned by the Morning Star, a criminal group acting as the lead of a criminal enterprise consisting of 3 gangs. The leader of the Morning Star, Philippe Loren, wants a significant portion of the Saints' profits in return for their lives. However, the Saints are feeling a little bit disagreeable.
Listen, you French fuck.
Le fille.
Gat opts to fly the plane back home, as Shundy and the boss clear the plane of hostiles, separating themselves and leaving Gat to fend for himself. He'll be okay, surely, right?
Johnny, we're about to jump!
Right on. I'll see you in still.
Johnny?
Gat is dead. Gat represented absolute invincibility and was the toughest person we knew. So if the Syndicate could kill him of all people, this is the biggest threat the Saints have ever faced thus far. Oh, wait. They bring him back in Saints Row 4. He wasn't actually killed. He was abducted by a British alien before the events of the 4th game. Jesus Christ, okay. For the sake of discussing this game, we'll act as if Gat is truly dead. The characters within this game are under the impression he is, and it informs a lot of their actions going forward, so we'll just carry on pretending as if 4 doesn't exist. Like we probably should all do. We parachute out of the plane and land in the city of Steelport, the Syndicate's personal playground. Matt Miller, the leader of the Deckers, hacks into our bank accounts on the order of Loren, leaving us with no money whatsoever. Once again, the Saints have to start from scratch, but this time, we're totally out of our depth, and sadly, 1 man down. We need to acquire some weaponry to fight back against the Syndicate. We choose to assault the local military base to steal some new hardware, including a huge bomb. I'm pretty sure that will come in handy at some point. Pierce flies in with the rest of the Saints in helicopters, and we begin to discuss how we'll move forward.
So what's next?
What's next is you go back to Stillwater.
What? No, this is my fight too.
Girl, you don't get messy. Let us take care of business.
Fuck you. I'm doing this for Johnny.
Shundy, who is taking Gat's death extremely hard, is ready for war. However, Pierce and the boss try and talk it down, failing completely to convince her. After Gat's death, she isn't the same happy-go-lucky party girl she used to be back in Stillwater, and from here on out, she's a lot harsher as a result. And so, after exploring the city with Pierce for a little bit, wait, what the hell is that thing? Well, it's a new enemy type, the Brute. They act as big bullet sponges that have the potential to dish out insane damage. When they arrive on the scene, your attention completely shifts from the regular gang members to the Brute. Otherwise, there'll be a constant threat looming around the battlefield. This is great and spices up gameplay a lot, alongside the other special enemies introduced to this game such as snipers, grenade launchers and dashing enemies. Gameplay is constantly engaging, and the player's approach changes consistently, keeping you on your toes. As a result, gameplay is rarely ever boring, and it lays a great foundation for the mission design to build upon. Very good additions. They're not exactly fitting within Saints Row though. They are pretty unrealistic. With that, we decide to find a new place, and Pierce has a great idea. We're in need of a new base of operations, and the Morningstar seems to be operating out of a penthouse apartment with our name on it. With that, we get this iconic mission.
Alright, you're clear.
The penthouse assault is backed by Kanye West's power, and it absolutely works. The mission itself isn't anything special from a gameplay point of view. You're just killing a few goons followed by a helicopter chase. But the music elevates the experience like music only can, and we're left with one of the most iconic missions in gaming history. We clear the penthouse out, and upon hearing that there's a bomb rigged to explode, we chase the last lieutenant down, acquiring the means to disarm the bomb.
Daddy, chill.
With that, we have got a new base of operations to work from. Honestly, everything up until this point has been incredibly strong. The Saints have officially arrived. We've got a gang, we've got guns, we've got a headquarters, and we're ready to take on the Syndicate. We're ready to avenge Gat, and we're ready to lay siege to a whole new city. In the following mission, we're forced to play a boring activity. That transition was pretty jarring, wasn't it? So was this massive decline in quality. Saints Row is famous for its wide variety of optional fun activities, but here we see that in order to progress through the story, we're forced to play through one of the more boring activities before we can get to the next mission. We're tasked with protecting Pierce from dying as we're flown on rails through the streets of Steelport in a helicopter, shooting at the enemies below with an RPG, ending with a sniper section. Literally point and click to win. There is very little depth to the design here, and as a result, it feels incredibly boring. We go from one of the most iconic missions in video game history to one of the most forgettable. Is anyone else's neck feeling just a little bit sore from the whiplash? Do you know what? Never mind. We're past this story mission now. Let's just forget about this and move on to the next. And we're met with another mandatory activity. And another. And another. And another. 4 boring activities we're forced to play back to back. Do you hear that? That is this game's story momentum and pacing being flushed down the toilet. It's very clear that this is nothing more than lazy filler to pad out the game's storyline. In the previous games, you were also forced to play activities. However, they never came at the cost of the storyline, let alone making up a significant part of the story. And this is where this game's flaws begin to appear. It's sad that the game peaked on, its 4th mission, but welcome to Saints Row 3, ladies and gentlemen. Filler is an issue that plagues this game incredibly hard, and it is arguably Saints Row 3's greatest flaw. For context, there are a total of 47 story missions that form Saints Row 3's story. 14 of those are mandatory activities, 4 are literally just cutscenes, 4 are boring stronghold missions, where we wipe out a group of enemies inside a building to take it for ourselves, with little to no story substance. And 2 are just different variants of the same mission. This leaves us with a total of 25 actual missions within the game. Saints Row the 3rd really was the perfect title for this game. You're only getting a third of the content you received in Saints Row 2. Almost half the story content in this game is filler. Let's just hope these 25 missions make up for the rest of the experience. Surely they will, right? We get a lead on a designer, and we assault the place to find info on where Loren is hiding. Surprisingly enough, he's inside the tallest building in the city that's dripped out in Morningstar colours and logos. Who could have guessed? Okay, whatever. With that, after a long journey with the information on where he's located, we're finally ready to avenge Gat and kill Philippe Loren once and for all. Wait, hang on a second. This isn't the end of the video. How are we killing the main boss of the main enemy faction this soon? More importantly, why? Loren is the head of the Syndicate, our main enemies in this game. He killed Gat, our best friend. Would it not be more narratively satisfying to work our way up to the biggest threat of all? Instead of, killing him within the first third of the game and being left to face the underlings instead. What could have been an interesting character is wasted within the game's first quarter. And sadly, it's not as if we're left with a better villain. It makes you question why Volition would waste Loren in this way, especially when you consider the fact he was marketed as the main villain. It really makes you wonder what their vision was even meant to be for this character. That's an impossible question to answer, but what we're left with is a sorely underutilized character. We attack the Morningstar HQ. As we climb higher into the skyscraper, we discover a cloning lab where all the brutes are created in giant pods. Amongst the clones, we find a brute seemingly possessing a high level of intelligence unlike the other ones.
The copies are flawed. They have my brawn, but not my brain. I can help you.
He explained he was the origin of the brutes, and all attempts at cloning him resulted in flawed, dumb brutes. He asks for us to free him so we can seek revenge on Loren, and we of course oblige. Having a brute on our side will be pretty useful. Plus, he is our new best bro. We find Loren fleeing from an elevator, and with no time to spare, we jump on his giant ball and loosen it, causing it to fall through the building and crush him to death. For starters, we're dead right here. Never mind, okay, we're not. With that, the head of the syndicate is dead under the weight of his big ball, and we're given two options for what we want to do with the Morningstar HQ. Blow it up, or keep it for ourselves. This would be a fun choice to make, but you can never enter this building ever again after this mission. You keep it, or so the story tells us, but in terms of the gameplay, the only difference is that the lights get changed from red to purple. In any practical sense, we don't get the building whatsoever. This was a great opportunity to give the player a cool new player house, and the interior is already modelled, so it should be pretty easy to include, but never mind. Blow it up and you get an XP multiplier. Keep it and you get a money multiplier. What a thrilling end to Act 1. Loren is dead, and we've begun our journey in avenging Gat, but it is about time we give him a funeral.
I vowed never to forget my hometown roots. My husband gave his life defending Stillwater from gang violence. It is my greatest privilege to honor him with this bridge.
Psych!
Time for the high spot, boys.
Whoever this crew is, they flow pretty damn good.
They're Kilbane's thugs.
Kill who?
He's the Syndicate's attack dog.
What he did to Johnny's funeral. That's over the fucking limit.
He doesn't care about rules of engagement.
No rules? I can work with that.
Kilbane, the head of the Luchadors, the muscle of the Syndicate, has taken up a leadership role within the Syndicate by force. The right-hand women, Viola and Kiki, take over the Morningstar in Loren's place, and Matt Miller, the emo hacker, is still heading the Deckers. After Kilbane's show of force and given the Saints' involvement, a US Senator and the Mayor of Stillwater, Monica Hughes, is distraught after the destruction of the memorial bridge dedicated to her husband, who died in Saints Row 1, and declares war on the gangs involved. Richard Hughes, Monica Hughes' husband, had the goal in the previous games of wiping out the gangs, so it's fitting this plot point is carried on in his name. Saints Row 3 is mostly inconsistent with the previous game's tone, story and themes, so seeing anything at all being carried over to the third game is great to see.
You're not ready to fight the Syndicate.
Watch us.
Let's relax, Shaundy. Alright, big man, what do you got?
There are others who hate the Syndicate as much as you do. I will take you to them.
Apparently, we're not ready to face the rest of the Syndicate, and we need to train. Even though we just defeated the leader of the Syndicate, surely the lieutenant shouldn't pose more of a threat than the guy who led them, but whatever. Let's take a look at the guy heading the Syndicate now, and our new main antagonist. Kilbane is a wrestler. This is his character.
The best is beating Sway the Spider God in a Tijuana scaffold match. The best is defending the world title 13 times in one night. The best is winning a...
Aside from this, he is prideful and somewhat insecure. But this depth never really gets explored deeper than the surface level. Kilbane for the most of the game is a wrestling one-liner dispenser, and that's all he ever really is, which is disappointing. Saints Row previously had incredibly strong villains, and it's sad to see this game lacking in that department. So, we begin our training, and we need to find 3 mentors to teach us how to defeat the 3 gang's leaders. We find Demos, a pimp crossed with Lil Wayne who has extensive knowledge in the Morningstar operations.
Well, if you went on a ball gag with a horse tail up your ass for a few years, I think you'd want to unwind too.
We also find Kinsey, a neurotic hacker with a score to settle against the Deckers, and Angel, a long-term rival to Kilbane, who in the past suffered a great defeat in a wrestling match. We'll explore these characters later when they're relevant, but for now, We need a training montage in order to defeat the Syndicate once and for all. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so how are we gonna begin training to fight the Syndicate? What do these new characters have in store for us?
Making you experience the worst pain imaginable.
Have a nice day, mate.
Oh, more mandatory activities. If you absolutely loved the forced activities earlier in the story, you'll especially enjoy this. During my playthrough, this was honestly the single biggest mental hurdle I had to overcome to complete the game. This entire hour-long segment feels like it could have been cut out and nothing could have been lost. That's not good. If a section serves no purpose in a story, it shouldn't be included, especially if it's an hour long and horrifically boring. By including unnecessary segments into a story, you absolutely kill the pacing of the narrative, and players will feel nothing but boredom when you want investment from them. These activities aren't incredible from a gameplay standard either. It seems like Volition plucked some of the most boring activities in Saints Row 1 and 2 and included them here. There are a few exceptions, but the majority range from boring to outright awful. An extremely horrendous example of this was Tiger Escort, which was taken from Saints Row 2 and remixed slightly. Before, you had to drive a client around the city dodging reporter vans until you filled the bar at the top. Pretty boring and simple, but it was acceptable. Here, however, you're driving a Tiger around in your passenger seat, which randomly attacks you and causes your vehicle to steer off in different directions, which for the most part causes you to crash at the most infuriating times. Whose idea was this? Is this considered fun content in the Volition developer studio? It's absolutely insufferable. It truly is a talent to turn something bad into outright horrific. And the worst part about it all is that you're forced to complete this very specific activity in order to progress the story. At least in the other games, these activities had enough mercy to be entirely optional, but here, in Saints Row 3, I hope you have a fun, long YouTube video to play in the background whilst you suffer through this part of the game. During this segment, however, we get an oasis in the middle of a dry, contentless desert. A single mission where Viola and Kiki, the new heads of the Morningstar, send stripper assassins during the party the Saints are holding. We're forced to fight off the stripper assassins, and naturally, we repel them. After this, in the following cutscene,
Hooker assassin!
Kilbane kills Kiki, Viola's twin sister, because he is angry. Wow, a villain killing off their minions in a fit of rage? How original. Kiki definitely was one of the characters of all time. Very sad. I am sad she has died. But do you know what? After this segment is over, surely the content from here on out improves substantially at least. Right? In the meantime, we meet up with Zemos and see that Monica Hughes has an announcement. She has publicly declared war against the gangs in Steelport, using an organisation called the Stag Initiative to complete her goal.
The hell is the Stag Initiative?
If it's free porn for everyone, I am down.
We'll find out more about those later. For now, Zemos wants to sell us into slavery at the BDSM club. Wait, what? We awaken in Safe Word, a BDSM club which was a reused interior from a previous mission, and take it over. Now, this quirky little mission has you drugged, which causes your screen to shake back and forth, knocking your aim off completely. This is totally insufferable. Once again, whose idea was this? Please find me the manager of game design, because I need to file a complaint right now. This mission is not fun. It's actually quite the opposite, but you do get a cool new apartment at the end for suffering through it, which is copied identically 3 times across the map. With that, we hear that Viola wants to meet with us. She's looking to team up with the Saints to take down Kilbane and avenge her sister. However, during the conversation, we get interrupted.
First.
Stag are a paramilitary organisation with the sole purpose of controlling the rampant gang threat. They're equipped with a high level of technology, which includes the likes of laser rifles and giant flying airships. Stag are in a very weird spot. At a first glance, this looks absolutely insane. A military group with laser rifles wasn't exactly what people had in mind when they thought of Saints Row. However, in terms of the story and what they represent, they are an amazing addition.
Let me tell you about Jessica Parrish, a girl from Stillwater who ran away from home to be with her tough guy boyfriend. Jessica thought her life was pretty sweet, until a gangbanger kidnapped her, threw her in the trunk of a car, and laughed as her boyfriend crushed her in a monster truck rally. If Jessica Parrish was your daughter, how far would you want me to go?
You see, the one thread tying the series together is the Saints' threat to the public as a criminal organisation. I explore this topic way more in my Saints Row 2 critique, as you can see here. However, to keep it short, the Saints are a dangerous group that many characters see as nothing but a threat that needs to be removed. Honestly, in some aspects, they are right, such as Julius's desire to destroy the Saints, the gang he created, because he realised he was causing harm to the city he tried to protect. Beyond that, the Ultor Corporation created the Masako SWAT team to combat the Saints for the very same reason. Stag is the next logical step. Stag is the biggest threat the Saints have ever faced, and with them returning to gang warfare once again, it makes sense why a group like this would be brought into the story at this time. It probably would have been better if Stag were portrayed as a conventional military force, but putting that aside, the reasons they're included in the story make complete sense where their weaponry might not, and their inclusion improves the game overall. We immediately begin to take the fight to Stag and destroy a few of their operation bases with a taste of their own medicine, and we begin formulating a plan to kidnap Josh Burke. Yes, that annoying actor from the intro mission, as he is being paraded around in the Stag marketing. We disguise ourselves in some epic weeaboo anime cosplay, and we sneak our way into the Stag PR centre, kidnapping Burke and bringing him back to the Saints HQ.
Put the gun down. I won't run.
Yeah, I'm good.
Stag attack the HQ, and we're forced to defend the base in an epic set piece. We repel the waves of Stag for as long as we can, and eventually Cyrus calls for a parley, and we get an epic choice. Stag leaving us alone and attacking the Syndicate for a time if we give Burke back, or we get to keep Burke as a pet. As far as I'm aware, you can't throw him off the roof to his death, so giving him back will have to do. With the breathing room we get from Stag, we turn our attention back to Killbane. He is live on air, besmirching the good name of the Saints. Very sad. We track him down with Shaundy in a helicopter, and after finding Killbane's location, Shaundy lines up her shot from the side of the chopper, and before she can shoot, the controls stop working, resulting in us crashing. It appears Matt Miller, the leader of the Deckers, was responsible. Maybe we actually need to deal with the Deckers now. Naturally, we head to Kinsey's, and she tells us in order to take the Deckers down, we need to hit them where it hurts. We work towards acquiring a method of destroying their networks, which takes the form of a chair to enter virtual reality. Yes, this is the future Mark Zuckerberg, Lizardman, has in store for everyone with the metaverse. We enter the Decker network, and what we see in the mission is the visual representation of destroying the network. This is a genius method of having a mission be as wacky as you want, without letting it affect believability. This isn't a new idea by any means, but it is implemented quite well here. In any other scenario, taking control of a dragon with a big anime sword would be way too far over the line, but here in VR, why not? Better yet, it acts as good characterization for Matt Miller, the leader of the Deckers. Everything you see here was created by him, so what we experience in some way tells us something about him. His Deckers are shown as regular foot soldiers, whereas he takes on the form of an imposing giant atop a cathedral. A little egotistical, wouldn't you say? In the real world, I am the loser, but when we enter the gamer world, you are the loser. The VR setting also allows for unique gameplay scenarios too. As we storm through the level, Matt Miller hacks us and inflicts different effects upon us, such as slow motion, which makes melee enemies tough to deal with since we can't run away from them, and a favourite of mine, the lag effect. Now, this is absolute torture to deal with in-game, but it's a pretty smart thematically appropriate effect that adds extra challenge. Overall, this mission was probably one of the best in the game, and definitely was a fun experience. After the boss battle with Matt, he starts cowering and begging for his life, and we're left with another choice to make. Let Matt Miller go free, or let Matt Miller go free. Yes, the game kinda makes this decision for us. The decision we're actually given is whether we want a vehicle or gun store discount. The more interesting choices here would be to spare or kill him, of course, but the game says no. Having this choice would have been excellent for the narrative too. It would have tied in with the theme of the Saints selling out in a way that's explored through gameplay. Perhaps you, as the player, value the money over getting revenge against Matt, just like the characters might too. This was a great mission, but it's sadly sullied by a weak ending. With that, Matt Miller leaves the Syndicate and we never hear from him again. Until Saints Row 4, that is.
Shit, I can't believe I'm saying this. You don't have to die a virgin.
After we deal with Matt, Shaundy gets kidnapped by Stag.
Oh, Shaundy, you there?
Let me go!
Shit. Shaundy.
Oh no, this is so sad. How are we going to get her back from a highly guarded military aircraft carrier?
We can't go marching onto Stag's aircraft carrier.
Why not?
Well, we can just walk down to the plastic surgery store, change our character to look like their commander, and walk in.
Welcome back, sir.
What's up?
You do realise the plastic surgery store is literally just an excuse for you to change your character mid-game, right? This is the equivalent of the characters recognising they have the ability of time travel because they can use save and loading. It's not actually canon to the narrative. I guess it is now. Whatever. We dress up as Cyrus Temple and board the carrier with Pierce and Viola as captives. Surprisingly, the plan doesn't work since there are now 2 Cyruses and our cover is blown. We fight our way through the carrier, free Shaundy and the others, blow the aircraft carrier up and leave. Well, that was pretty easy. This entire mission feels like one big Looney Tunes episode, and it only undermines Stag as a faction. For their main base of operation to be destroyed so easily is baffling, and the threat Stag pose as an enemy is reduced in the minds of the player. If it was this easy to destroy their main base, they're essentially just one big joke. What's worse, this could only happen because of the impossibility of transforming ourselves into Cyrus in the first place. The writers wrote themselves into a hole with Shaundy being imprisoned, and they dug themselves back out with the laziest and most implausible solution possible. After this mission, Stag puts Steelport into martial law, and for the rest of the game, you have a permanent 1-star wanted level, and overall Stag presence on the streets is increased. That's a pretty neat detail at least.
Alright, I'm done fucking around. I want Killbane.
From here, we begin to draw up battle plans to deal with Killbane once and for all. Killbane is fighting at a wrestling event, Murder Brawl, and we plan to face him as his opponent. Yes, we probably could just shoot him, but Killbane is a wrestler. Sadly for Killbane, everyone else that was lined up for the fight had an accident, so we're put in as a backup.
You want to hurt Killbane? You gotta hurt his reputation. Take Killbane's mask and all that's left is Eddie Pryor. It's worse than killing him.
Can't we just kill the bastard?
Apparently, stealing his mask is worse than killing him because he will be sad about it. That is very sad. This is literally just stupid. The only reason we don't just drive to the place and kill him, like we've done with every other problem we've dealt with up until now, is because the writers just want to drag the game's story on a little further. We enter the wrestling match with Angel after acquiring his mask back, and we tag team Killbane. This mission honestly is pretty fun, but spoilers, we literally let him go after we defeat him. This would be fine, but in the final mission, we have a choice of killing Killbane or saving Shaundy's life. The choice in that final mission is completely nullified when you realise we let him go here. If killing Killbane was that important to us to the point we'd let Shaundy die, why the hell are we letting him go right now? Never mind. We have a couple more missions to go before the finale. Stag is bringing more troops into the city on a plane, and we plan on destroying it before it can land. Okie dokie, that makes sense, I suppose. Okay, so we're dead now, right? Oh no, I guess not.
The game was rigged from the start.
We storm the plane and destroy it, causing it to crash. We jump out and repeat the second mission again and land on the ground. But what's this? Stag have containers filled with zombie farts stored in the plane, and as they land on the ground and crack open, it raises the dead and creates zombies in the surrounding area. Pause for just a second. We're basically right at the end of the story. The tension is at an all-time high, and we get a zombie hunt for no reason. This zombie segment literally adds nothing to the game's story. It literally only detracts from it. This entire mission is just a lazy excuse to add zombies into a game where zombies don't make any sense.
Batman 115!
Doesn't it just feel great that the developers don't really care about the story they're creating? Once we clean up the zombie fart canisters, we're given another epic story choice. Be rid of the last zombie fart canister, or keep it for ourselves. To prevent The Last of Us 2 from existing, I chose to destroy the last of the zombies. Now, with that, we're ready to face the final mission. Yes, the penultimate mission in this story was dealing with zombie farts. Stag go all out in attacking the gangs of the city, and an all-out war breaks loose. We fight for a bit on the streets until we're given an ultimatum. Stag has captured Shaundy, Viola and the mayor, and is preparing to blow up the Statue of Liberty, this thing, to frame and destroy the reputation of the Saint and allow Stag to use their ultimate weapon, the Daedalus. Killbane at the exact same time, however, is escaping on a plane. This is our second last chance to kill him for good. Naturally, I don't care about the tubby wrestler and opt to save Shaundy. We head to the statue, remove the bombs, and kill Cyrus's second in command. Monica Hughes, after figuring out the Saint saved the beloved monument from Stag, side with us, letting us go free from Stag's wrath as we are, now, heroes in the public eye. Wow, what a happy ending.
Like it or not, the Saints are heroes.
Hot dog!
We're given an epilogue mission where we shoot the new gangsters in space movie, which is very epic. And then they all lived happily ever after.
Damn it. 9.
Cut!
Sorry, Hey, you get it next time.
Everybody back to 1. Settle.
Is it just me, or is this ending a little flaccid? Now, this absolutely is the canon ending, since Shaundy is alive in Saints Row 4. But it honestly feels like this ending doesn't really tie anything up. The most notable loose end is the core theme of the story. Are the Saints sellouts, or are they real gangsters? This has been the question from the very beginning. Well, to answer that question, we need to have a look at the other ending. We choose to go after Killbane this time, and we meet up with Angel. He drives us to the airport, and we destroy Killbane's plane before he can escape. However, he survives and emerges from the wreckage.
So here we are. 2 titans among men, worshipped by mere mortals for bringing them blood and fire. This moment was an inevitability.
So's me killing you.
No. That's not how this book is written. The Saint's legacy ends here, not with a bang, but with a whimper.
Are you for real? It's over, Eddie. In 2 weeks, no one's gonna remember your name.
No one will remember me. You were a fucking clown, selling energy drinks and lunchboxes. You didn't care about the crowd, just a paycheck. And I changed that.
Bullshit.
Killbane actually has the first piece of dialogue that isn't a wrestling one-liner. And he's absolutely right. With the choice to sacrifice the Saint's image and reputation by allowing the statue to be destroyed just to finish off Killbane for good, he's brought you back from the celebrity lifestyle and into the mud with him. It's pretty poignant, especially from him who up until now had very little depth. We begin an epic quick time event showdown and we finish off Killbane. We hear the sounds of bombs going off, marking the death of Shaundy and the Saint's reputation. As we ponder our choice in the wreckage, Pierce gives us a phone call.
Kill that son of a bitch?
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
Wow, a bittersweet ending in my Saints Row 3? Who would have guessed the writers had this in their back pocket? It's just sad that this nuance in the story came this late. After the ending, just like the previous one, we receive an epilogue mission. We hold a funeral for Shaundy and give a speech about what it took for the Saints to get to this point. However, with the world now believing the Saints are terrorists, Stag have been authorised to call in the Daedalus, a gigantic flying helicarrier equipped with an incredible amount of firepower. They fire upon the city, killing Saint and civilian alike. Immediately, we fly up to the Daedalus and attempt to destroy the cannons, with no luck. We land and plant bombs throughout the aircraft. This is a pretty tricky mission as Stag personnel swarm the aircraft. However, we can use their own toys against them. After After planting the bombs, we finally face Cyrus Temple once and for all. We have to shoot down his VTOL with the stag weaponry we find lying around, and eventually we kill him and fly away, leaving the Daedalus to blow up with debris falling down across the city. With the total destruction of Stag, the Saints storm into the news broadcasting station and announce their rule over Steelport.
I got a message from Monarchy Hughes and her stooges. Dear bitch, Steelport is under new management and we don't answer to you. This is foreign soil now. Come at my city again and you'll go home in a fucking box. Back to you.
Nobody objects, given the Saints had just saved Steelport from total destruction, and with that, the credits roll and the game ends. Looking back at this game's story, what have we learned? What can we say about this game? In my opinion, the game can be summed up in 2 words. Missed potential. There is an interesting story buried deep within Saints Row 3 somewhere, if you dig through the rubble of the series' tone, and through the destroyed themes and storyline, there is some nuance to be found. The story wanted to ask a question: are the Saints sellouts or are they real gangsters? With their new celebrity lifestyle, had they given up what made them so ruthless and fearsome in the first place? Was Gat right in that prison cell at the very beginning of the game? Well, that's a very easy question to answer. We just have to look at what the game tells us. The Saints absolutely are sellouts, and the writers tell us this quite clearly. With the save shown the ending being canon to the series, as Saints Row 4 confirms, we're given our answer. Whilst many players wouldn't want Shaundy to die, the alternative ending we're given as a result is of much higher quality. Kilbane's speech alone gives us nuance over the choices we've made, where the other ending offers us an unfunny Star Wars parody. Honestly though, with how the series turned out, it probably is quite fitting that this ending was made canon. Killing Kilbane represents sticking to your real identity, whereas saving Shaundy represents selling out for more money. With how Saints Row ended up as a series, it makes complete sense why this ending was made canon. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.